but also I love the attacking mindset or attacking kicking mindset of Jellybeer. So if you rush him and he knows that he doesn't have that flat hard line, he will sit back, draw you out, and put little chips over the top, crossfield kicks. So they have a number of ways to deal with it if they can't get that punch off the forward pack they've chosen.
And so that makes them incredibly dangerous and hard to contain. What do you do to contain that?
Yeah, I suppose that the challenge will be the ability to slow the ball down, ability to shut down time and space when the ball's in the forward's hands so that they can't have too much interplay. But the reality is they're a high-scoring team. They will find ways to break you. I think the biggest defining part of this test match is the more pressure you can put them on, even though they can deal with that line speed pressure and they have the ability, they have outs in terms of that kicking game and their ability to read defenses. I think the team that forces the most errors, like both teams like turnover attack. Like the bulk of the tries in the Six Nations came from their own half for France. So the turnovers, we know Dave Rennie's the same. So the team that can force the most turnovers defensively and then have that click attack of 10, 15 seconds of just catching any defender off guard and getting them behind the line. And I suppose keeping the ball alive, the less rucks possible off turnovers. And even if you do get tackled, like we saw with the Hurricanes, like the little offloads from Armour that keeps the ball alive, or the pop pass from Geordie Barrett to Josh Morby. If either team can manage to do that and not have to set rucks on turnover ball, that'll be the key to stopping it, is forcing those turnovers. The big thing is I suppose just remaining in your systems and trying to cover that kick space is best. And I think probably that's Cam Roygaard's role, and maybe Quinta Pye just holding back a little bit to sort of cover in those short kicking spaces. And then I think a big other thing is changing the defensive picture from set piece. So wingers, it's Dave Rennie did it with Wayne Smith with the Chiefs back in the day. Wingers sort of starting up initially, and then once the ball goes in at scrum time, they're dropping back. So it's those late picture changes to sort of try and, I suppose, create hesitation in executing their attacking skill set.
Yeah. Now, look, we've got a couple of people on here. Blavy Cactus, who won the Chiefs book the other day. Welcome back, mate. Thanks for tuning in. And also Solethesis, I don't know if that's how you say it. He can't wait for the game. $800 tickets left, and he couldn't grab it because he was not that much of a baller, but looking forward to it. Now, Blavy Cactus has asked, does Chipper, that's you, Jipper as in James, middle name Ian?
My middle name?
Yeah. I always presume Jip was like...
No. My middle name's William. So I got it, there was a JP in the Harbour team already, and I was just extended to Jip because I was the youngest player, and then that's where it came from. And then obviously I was a little bit mouthy on the field, so people changed it to Chipper. So I answer to Chipper or Jipper or Jip or JP.
There you go.
If I get called James these days, I feel like I'm in trouble.
Yeah, you probably are. Does Chipper or Jipper or JP worry that our loose trio is too short?
No, because I think Lakai and Jacobson have shown, I suppose, the ability to, I suppose, explode. Like they're explosive athletes, and it's that ability to get in the air quickly. The height won't matter. I suppose it's finding that space and that spring with the lift and getting the throw accurate. The big thing is, if you look at when Dave Rennie coached the Chiefs, Brodie Retallick, they struggled at line-out time. Brodie Retallick and two props would sprint to the 5 metre line, and the hooker would sprint there and they'd just throw. So I think we can expect a lot of quick throw-ins. What Brad Weber mentioned the other day of, catching it out, putting the ball down and then coming back to it and doing quick throws that way. And I think you can look for the All Blacks to set first, because the easiest line out is you get in and you get out.
Yeah. And they don't want to be doing anything but keeping the game going, do they? As a general rule, they're going to want pace across the park. They're not going to want to scrum for penalties necessarily. They're going to be wanting to get it going.
Yeah, and look, Barnsley will have some creative options, but I think the more the more tempo options you can take from set lineouts and quick throw-ins in the style they want to play, unstructured, because that's creating unstructured. Because even if your lineout's in and you're in and out, that defence is unstructured, and that's all that Dave Rennie's looking for, and Mike Blair.
Right. So let's have a look at this pack. It says we're getting a bit of echo on the line. So I think that's actually from me. But we'll figure it out. So when we look at this pack from the French, what do you see?
I see, I suppose, mobile, and I suppose it's a similar pack to the Scottish game, similar in the sense of, and if you remember, I think they lost. Well, they were behind like 50-10, and then it was about 50-40. So I think if we can get that carry clean punch that we know, I think this team's been sort of picked for, with Lakai and Savia being those main carriers with like a Cody Taylor. I think you can possibly see the ability to open up that space, because what Scotland did is they punched through this pack and it tightened and restricted the defence and the ability to get off the line. And where France was punished most in the Six Nations was on the edges, and they left their wingers isolated. So they've got a different defensive system. Is like in New Zealand, if we get tight defensively, our wingers will come in and connect and almost use the sideline as the friend, or go halfway house so they can cover the 50-22. What happens a little bit is I'd say their wingers are a little bit more relaxed in the sense defensively, which means if you can get, I think that the best example is the first try of the Hurricanes against the Brumbies, is there was like one flat pass to Armour that got to the edge defender, and then the winger was sort of halfway house. He gave that offload to Barrett, and then it was like 3-on-1 down that short side. So look for that as the opportunity, but the only way that opportunity will exist is if we go through them first, and we even create that own pop touch. Even if the halfback's not there, like Cam Ruigard will snipe and have his opportunities, but if there's a forward there, one cleaner, bang, and you're sort of picking through the middle of those rucks. The more of those we can get, tighten that defence, you can expect to see that space on the edge.
It seems like this is going to be a hell of a challenge. I mean, it was last year, wasn't it? And last year's team that France sent is on paper probably weaker than this team.
Yeah, and I think the big thing is a lot of these players have played together, like in key positions, like that 9-10-12 access. And then you've got the one thing I was surprised about though in the selection, because everything coming out of France was they wanted that Aotearoa to play at 15, because he's all out attack, and they felt I suppose the connection between Jalibert and himself, like obviously Rayasi plays 15 in Bordeaux, but it's a similar style of player, and that would have sent I suppose under the roof that they're going to go all out attack. Putting him to the wing and Spring, and it's not saying Max Spring doesn't have the same attacking prowess, he's just a little bit more reserved in his decision making. So if the kick space is there, he'll take it. He may let the line come to him and go to a contestable, rather than, I suppose, Aotearoa is he's going to take the line on, and so will Jalibert will drop in the backfield. He had 170 run meters for 10 carries against Leinster. That's a hell, like that to me is. That's not a lot of carries for, he touches the ball 80 times a game. But for the 10 when he did, his decision-making of when it's on and when it's not is so dangerous.
That kind of goes back to that conversation we had with Brad Weber about the differences in the way that a French halfback runs the game and the French 10 who works alongside him, and it's more of a complementary person necessarily than the person who's running the show.
Yeah, but I had an interesting chat with Quade Cooper last night in the green room, and he was talking about him and Will Guinea, because I was having that chat, and he said the way it worked for them in the Reds when they'd go well is Will would always know that there were forwards coming, and Quade just had to wait until if it was quick ball, Will would just give him the ball, but he was always flat and hard at the line. Jalebi is very similar. Like he'll sit flat and hard at the line. He's got the ability to do those quick little chip kicks if the pass comes to him, it's not on. But Luku will do the same. Like if it's quick ball, say a Moefana for this team that's playing, punches in that line, expect that quick ball, it's going to be a short pass, Jalebi are right at the line, and then they'll look to free up those outside or even those sort of bridge passes to Purnod and Atasobe. So I'm not saying it's Will Gidding and Quade Cooper, but it really opened my mind the way Quade analysed this half pairing as being very similar in that sense, that it will be controlled by the speed of the ball rather than, I suppose, it being Luku slowing it down. Or I think if we see that picture and there's no forwards coming, it's going to go. They'll play it. And if the forwards are there, they'll probably play through them, if that makes sense. It just depends on what sort of ball they get off each breakdown.
Quade Cooper's such an interesting addition to the Sky team, isn't he?
Mate, honestly, I was like nerding out with him. He is one of the smartest rugby brains I've had the opportunity to pick. I think it's a good idea to try and get him on, to be honest, because I don't want to do him a disservice, but just the way he looks at the game of attack is, he analysed the All Blacks from last year of when they won and when they lost. And I think they averaged about 100 rucks, 1.8 passes per ruck when they won. And what he said is, for him, that says you're having to, wait for the perfect picture. So you're spending a lot of energy and you're not really keeping the ball alive. And he goes, when they lost, they were around about 77 rucks. So they were a team that needed possession. Now, if you look at it from the Hurricanes' point of view, and I think it's the best example, is they actually were one of the teams with the least amount of possession. And the way I explained it during the season was, they just scored tries quickly. But what Quade goes, that's probably the simple way of looking at it. He goes, but look at how they never had rucks because of this pop touch, these offloads. Like it was, their mindset was to never let the ball die. And he said, in his attacking beliefs are, teams that actually have the least amount of rucks should win rugby if their mindset is keeping the ball alive, because then every player around is aware. So if you're aware that this pop pass could come or an offload could come, you put yourself in a position to take it. Where I suppose it goes, where he was saying like when the All Blacks lost is when they tried to play that game and you weren't aware, like you sort of broke the principles of attack. And he goes, the principles of attack will dictate your ability to sort of, I suppose, go between both. And I think we're going to see a Dave Rennie side very similar in that mindset of the least amount of rucks, the better, because that's taking away the contest area.
Yeah. And not that you don't want to win the odd contest, I suppose. You still need to get the bit of contact, don't you?
100%. And you've got to dent the opposition. But what he was saying is, like, just don't be fixated, like, scoop the ball. If the halfback's something, scoop the ball. If the pop's on, pop it. Because actually setting in that ruck is, you've got to think all those numbers are trying to corral in there to win that contest. If the ball's gone, you've got less of the opposition defenders on their feet. And he was real analytical in it. He's like, you've got to understand their defensive rules. So he called it attack principles, defense rules. And he goes, I'll have my attack principles, but I need to know their defensive rules, because then I know where and how they're going to make those decisions. Do they put 2 into the breakdown, or do they put 1? Do they leave the breakdown? Do their wingers stay back and not connect? So I can give that flat ball to the center and hit that edge defender and keep the ball alive down that edge. So as I say, I'm probably not giving it justice, but man, like, it was one of the most fascinating conversations I've had in a long time, just in the way he articulated the difference between attack principles and defensive rules.
Now we've got something come through from Centre Mass. I'm looking forward to the quick interpassing close around the rucks, bringing non-stop attack, like how the Chiefs played 2012-2013 with uncompromising tackle defence and counter rucks.
Yeah, as he's saying, the French into
No, I
passing.
think he's talking about the All Blacks. I think he's referring to Dave Rennie's style.
Oh, yeah. So and I suppose that's what your point is on attack. If we start with the attack and the interpassing of the forwards, is you still got to get that initial dent in the line. And you can see guys like Lakai putting Lakai at 6. So Lakai in Super Rugby had one of the highest gain lines. I think is close to 80%. But the most important one, he was at 75% lightning quick ball. So he's not only getting across the gain line, but that Hurricanes mindset is when we get across the gain line, like we're getting lightning quick ball. Like it's it's not an option not to, because that was their philosophy, that calmness and the chaos. So I think you can expect something similar like that, but you still got to get a bit of crash and bash first. And it's international rugby; it's going to be a step up. And then defensively, I think you've got to get the balance right around, I suppose, the defensive breakdowns. You don't want to overspend numbers, because the French play just like the Dave Rennie mindset. Like they want to keep the ball alive, and they can hurt you pretty quickly on attack. Like they average close to 40 points in Six Nations most games. Like this is going to be a doozy in terms of attack, because both sides want to attack.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look at the attack, considering how New Zealand has got Mackenzie at fullback, Jordan on the wing, then obviously Roygaard and Love at 9 and 10. How do you see, I suppose, that spine, the 9, 10, 15 working together this time around under Dave Rennie?
Yeah, look, I think I just go back to their philosophy as creating unstructured play. There's no better player in unstructured play than Damian McKenzie. I think that it's smart around what they've done with the wingers. Caleb Clark, really strong aerially. Like they box kick a lot. Like Luku will box kick a lot. So Will Jordan and Caleb being those key sort of aerial guys to diffuse those bombs without the escorts anymore will be crucial. And then having Damien hovering in and around for any scraps around that will be super dangerous. I think it'll be Ruben's ship to run when you're in that sort of strike phase play space, which he did so well. He was real selfless in the Hurricanes and putting people in the right place. But I think Damien will have a license to inject himself once he sees that unstructured play.
Yeah, that is exciting. It'd be really interesting to see. And then what I like about Will Jordan on the wing, fullback to some degree stops him being as potent in his ability to find tries. He's so good at finding tries, and the moment he went to fullback permanently, you saw his tries dry up a little bit, and he was at that 1 try a game strike rate. Then suddenly that kind of fell off, to give him that absolute license to be anything he wants to be.
15 doesn't allow that roving role to read defenses. And then Mike Blair said it yesterday. He goes, it's great to have both Damien and Will on the field, because they've both got such a natural ability of identifying opportunities on attack. But he sort of suggested the ability of Will being able to hover as a winger on the blind side, or holding that width and knowing where defenders are weak, and utilising his sort of silky ability through small gaps or big gaps, and his creativity with his chip and chase. I think like you've seen a lot of I suppose with Mike Blair's attack is it's read the defence, make the decision. They kick a lot from the edge as well. So I think both those players can show that.
Yeah. Okay, I've got a question from Blabby Cactus. Could you ask, what's JP most excited about regarding this Rennie All Black squad? And the other side of the coin, what's he most worried about?
Most excited, I suppose, for me, is where this pack can get to. Like it's Dave Rennie in terms of that napalm style, cleaning brutality, carry clean. But Neil Barnes, I'm frothing to see what he's a guy that creates a lot of belief in your skill set and gives you a lot of confidence as a player. I think we can get excited about some awesome, entertaining specials off lineouts and scrums, and just seeing that develop as a forward tragic. I know that's probably a little bit boring for some. But it's all that set piece area, line out, scrum, but also kickoff. Don't just assume kickoffs are the old adage, go up and we're just going to kick it down like that. They'll do a lot of bluffing. a lot of bluffing, shaping to box kick. And then actually that was another thing Quade said to me last night. He goes, man, it was so much fun with Dave because there was always three things to do. You just had to read what the defense was, sort of giving you, but you had this license, literally like to bluff that you're going to box kick and then you go down the blind side or you switch back and do a crossfield kick. First play of the game, it's like crossfield kick to your winger, and you've just got, if it doesn't come off, they've trained. Okay, if they get in the position, they steal it, you've trained how to fix it. But it's little things to just make defenses hesitate early in test matches. On the flip side, I suppose the casualty ward. Like they train. He loves robust players, it's keeping everyone fresh and available whilst having the ability to train at those high levels he demands.
Something in from young Swami. Do you think with all the versatility in our backline, with players being able to play multiple positions, we will see a 6-2 split soon?
I think you can probably expect it in South Africa. I'm not sure we'll see it in July. I don't think we need to do it in July. You've got to understand as well, like the 6-2 split's about matching, I suppose, the physical presence of a forward pack that has a bigger mass. Now, that might be Ireland, but if you look at the way Geordie Barrett and someone like Quinn Tupaia sit flat and hard at the line, they can punch through, they can still stay square and give those balls out the back to create that separation. Some of those balls that Geordie Barrett gave to Ruben Love, they're about 10 metres back, and he's right at the line, and they have to tighten up. So I think you'll see a lot of Quinn and Geordie entering into that sort of forward carry zone. Just like we saw Leicester have real benefit for the Crusaders when he was at 7, but he was acting like a midfield with his skill set. So I'm not so convinced there's going to be a rush to that, but I do think we'll definitely see it during South Africa.
I mean, when we look at this pack, though, the 5 guys that they've got there, that is a hell of a squad of forwards coming on. I mean, they're impactful, big men, powerful men, ball carrying men.
Yeah, and look, I always would kick stones if you get dropped to the bench, but I think like the day and age of that's gone. Like if you look at the profile of those players, Numir, Almur, Lomax, Paddy, Wallace, it is just, they are power athletes, and against fatiguing players, they can be an unstoppable force. And you know what I'd love to see is the lot come on at once. It would be awesome. Like just complete full fresh legs with 25, 30 to go. Oh, I'll be licking my lips.
It's interesting what you do with the front row, because often the box will almost do it at half time, like they've got half, and so, but really, what is the impact after the other guys have had 15 minutes break anyway? Is that, do you need to give them more because they've had that chance to refresh?
I think it'll like all those decisions are really made on the night. It'll depend what's happening. If there's good dominance and parity, you normally give them 5-10. But in this day and age, not many front rows go past 50.
Yeah. I remember being in Cape Town and watching Kitsoff go 75 and just being absolutely blown away by how he was still going at the 70th minute and going good. But it was just the rarest thing because you just never see it. It was like, is he still on? I
mean, look, some of them could go. It's probably not a question, but if you look at the structure of that bench, I see them entering the game pretty early.
Yeah. Does the Lakai at 6 mean we'll see a lot of blindside attack off the scrum with Cam Roigard from Kidoi 524, Kid Tuoi 524, something along those lines?
I don't think it's about Lakai at 6. I think if that defensive picture is shown, they'll take it. But I think it's a lot about getting Jacobson to clean that first ruck and Lakai and Artie getting around the corner first. Dave Rennie's teams are very much get around the corner, win the race, same way, and then after 2 or 3 phases play. just play what you see. But those, you can expect those players like Lakai and Artie to be carrying a lot, around that corner first up and really just trying to set the tone early.
Yeah. Let's talk a bit about Jacobson, because I think probably out of all the selections, that was the one which raised possibly the most eyebrows. People, one, expected Artie to go straight to 7 because, we kind of got used to him being the All Blacks 7 again. And two, when you looked across the form board, there was a lot of chat about Signer. There was a lot of chat about Karifi. There wasn't so much chat about Luke Jacobson. I'm a big fan, but that's just, there just wasn't as much.
Yeah, look, but he's a profile that Dave Rennie likes at 7. If you look at Sam Cane, you look at Tanara Latimer, he is a player that is going to hit a hell of a lot of rucks, but hit them with venom. The one thing I'd say is, we always joke about what Jerome said around concrete shoulders, but we've spoken about Sam Cane. Like, when you got hit by Sam Cane, you got hit. Like, you were winded, and that's what he's looking for, is that tough, ruthless nature in those sort of first off collision areas. But then don't forget, the 7 role is cleaning a lot of rucks, not necessarily getting your hands on the board, and quite fatiguing. I see this trio as picked to their strengths, as those players' strengths. And it's very much like we were in a hair's whisker of winning the 2023 World Cup. Probably had Sam Cane been on the field, there would have been a little bit more energy in the tank to allow, Artie and that to be able to get more explosive carries in and around that running game.
Tanner too says he thinks that Peter Lakai is also more akin to Sam Cane than Jacobson. What do you think of that comparison?
I just think his biggest strength is his ball carry, whereas Jacobson's biggest strength is the way he hits things defensively. So Lakai, I said it before, 80% gain line, 75% lightning quick ball. The guy is a real power athlete. And that balance between him and Wallace is exciting for that 6 jersey.
Yeah. Now, another question from him about Ollie Norris. He felt that Ollie Norris was hard done by, not being selected, pretty dominant when he was on. But he didn't play a lot of footy, did he, Ollie Norris, through the year in comparison?
They were pretty clear, you're going to have to, most of the squad played big minutes apart from Preston. It's not that Ollie didn't play well, but I think, mate, De Groot had a hell of a season, and so did, Xavier Numier was outstanding. So I think it's just unfortunate that he's missed out on this occasion.
Yeah. We touched on this before, but let's go there again because we've got a question from people who've joined recently. Chat about the lack of height in the line out, specifically around 6. Does that make us vulnerable?
Yeah, we sort of just answered it before, but no, I don't think so. I think Neil Barnes is a creative line-out tactician when forced to set, but I again go back to what I said before. I just think you expect quick throws, expect the All Blacks to set really fast at line-out time to just get in and get out. It only becomes an issue if it's a contest, and it will only be a contest if you're slow to that line-out or you arrive second. It is a strength of the French, though. So we've got to make sure we take that away through our speed of play.
Right, a little bit of feedback on the feedback, I suppose. Apparently, there's a little bit of an echo. If you could tell us whether that's when I'm talking or when Jip's talking, we're still trying to figure this out because this.
Should I turn my headphones off?
No. Let's see what they say. I've got a theory that it's possibly me, because of how this whole system works. We log into one thing, which sends something to something else, which sends something to YouTube. Oh no, it was a person watching the beginning of the stream. Thank you. We got it sorted out. Awesome. We need North versus South again. Well, I'm a fan of North versus South, I have to say that. And when they did play it that time, it was a ripper of a game.
Yeah, I'm a big fan as well. Just knowing the rugby calendar, I don't know we would play it.
Yeah, it's busy, especially because they're extending out that Super Rugby season next year and including a test in the middle of it.
Yeah, and we've only had a week we've only had a week break really or 10 days between the Super Rugby final and the first test. So, look, it would be awesome in theory, and maybe something, like there's obviously the way it would be is if, there was more teams in Super Rugby and that extended across the calendar year. There would maybe opportunities that way, but with NPC and where it sits, there's not a hell of a lot.
Yeah. It's challenging that. I mean, now they're
I
championship.
I can't see the comments, so I keep seeing you laughing. I'm just like, oh gosh.
Well, there was one person who wanted to know about what happened with Vern Cotter at the post match.
Vern wasn't too happy that I suggested their defence was number one, and how were they going to get back there. But yeah, as I said at the time, I think it was just a coach under pressure. But yeah, I don't think we'll be chewing the fat much now, unless he comes over for a Blues Reds game.
Got a question in from one of our viewers at the moment. His name is Bryn Hall. Thank you for watching, Bryn. Appreciate it. What about Darry starting over Paddy? Why is that? From Bryn Hall.
I think he had to get through a few tests during the week, fitness-wise. So I think there was that element. So allowed a full week for those two. Tupou, his concussion. But also I've been big on the fact that if you look at the last few years when Paddy's come off the bench at international rugby, he's a hard man to stop. So I, again, just think they've chosen players that are suited to certain roles.
Yeah.
Darry hit like 52 rucks in that last finals game. Those are ridiculous numbers. The guy's got a big engine. Like that, if you think that's not going to register on, back-to-back efforts, Dave Rennie, well, I mean, it was pretty clear. And I think, the ability of calling lineouts and sitting at the back there, like, it is a really good strength of Sam's.
Yeah, that's a great question from Bryn. Should we send him a signed Blues jersey? What do you think?
I don't know if it is actually Bryn, or are you serious? Is it? Is it?
No, he sent me a message.
Tell him to get off. Tell him to get off his backside and join.
He's got the link. I don't know if I can handle redoing the technology here.
No.
It was hard enough to set up in the first place. Right.
Have the most power in the whole thing as World Rugby would.
Yeah. Okay, let's get back into the rugby itself. A question about Ruben Love, considering the strength of the midfield. I think this is an interesting question because it goes to maybe the roles of the defensive units or players within defensive units. How's Ruben defensively is the question. And I suppose what I'd start that question is with the premise of what role does a 10 actually play on defence these days, and what role did he play on defence at the Hurricanes, before we ask whether he was good at that role or not.
Look, 10s drop into the backfield. It depends on your defensive ability. Like, systems can cover most players to, I suppose, fit them to their strength. Like, I know when we were at the Blues, like Milani Nanai would come off his wing and we'd put him in channel 1 because he was a hitman. But then, like, Stephen Perifeta came along and he obviously is really good as well. So he stayed there. Ruben's in the front line. He's a big body. He's full of courage. We know Damien's ability at the back, with the amount of cover tackles and what he puts for his body on the line. So no, I don't have any qualms about it. And the big thing, if you look at the Hurricanes D system, and that's why, like, it's kind of hard to say because I don't know, the system as such at the moment, because we don't have anything to go on. But a lot of traffic gets pushed back in. With that rush defence, and Ruben cleaned up a lot of that, and he had support by, Lakai, Kirifi, Almoa as well. So if it's not about the one-on-one, like, it's really crucial in defensive systems that you work in threes, because, there are going to be hot steppers, there are going to be big bodies, and it's about I suppose the inside and outside being on the same page to clean that up. But in terms of one-on-one tackling, his defensive stats are 85 plus. So I don't have any issues with him in the front line.
Yeah,
I'm sure he'll get some traffic. Like Moefana is going to come down that channel.
Yeah.
But he's also got Jacobson inside him.
Yeah. And he won't like to go further in.
I don't know. I don't know if we'll see two cuts off the left. But you never know. He is a pretty good ball carrier, so you might actually.
Yeah. Now let's have a look here. We've got some more questions. Thank you for all your questions, by the way. I really appreciate you tuning in and engaging with us as we try to give you some more content, especially more live opportunities, maybe to dig into the knowledge of the guys. One of the questions here is thoughts on the Super Rugby changes for next year. 60% of the teams will be making the playoffs. Why not just have top four straight to semis? I think the answer to that's engagement, right?
Yeah, I think fan feedback and the majority of all the survey data says they like the ability of their team being within the sniff of the playoffs. It's I suppose, that unpredictable result, keeping you engaged in the competition. I see it both ways. Like it's I think it's also about, like, we're trying to grow a big footprint in Australia, and if there's no Aussie teams, I'm not saying that's the case next year, but if it was that way this year, there wouldn't have been any of that. And it's a massive market that's really untapped. And we've got to make some headway in making sure that we get more eyes on this game so that we can grow it, increase the teams, and increase the depth of Super Rugby.
We've got a viewer on at the moment, Andre, who's up at 2:20 a.m. in South Africa because he just loves footy and he can't sleep.
He sounds like my sort of man.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Well, mate, you're not going to be getting much sleep this weekend, are you? Because there's just rugby all weekend. Let's go. Now, where do we think the primary threat channel will be from the French?
An attack?
I presume so.
Yeah, I think Moefana, in terms of the ball carry, I think their line out, or their attacking ability to get front foot ball, such good front foot ball, off the line out with Moefana, and then I think their kicking game. I think that they not only from Jalibert and Luku, but like Pernod can probably chip and chase 20 people, and hacky sack it down the field. Like, he's sort of a guy. He's quite jammy, and it's not by luck, but it always appears that way. So I think their innovation or their X factor or that French flair is probably where they're most dangerous. And I'll just go back to the Six Nations. Like, you look at some of their tries, it's like I think one or two teams in the world would have the ability to even see the opportunity, let alone take it.
Yeah, and that team didn't have Pernod. And Pernod's vision to find and create things is just unbelievable. It's going to be good to see him back in that side. Yeah,
and like Aotearoa is going to be the next sort of big star. I think Bielberry isn't here, and he's very much like Pernod. Like, he can create things out of nothing, but they have a license. And having that license and that freedom, and I suppose that lack of fear of it's not lack of fear of accountability, but it's, hey, we can recover if it doesn't go to plan, and that confidence breeds the ability to pull it off.
Yeah, totally. The also questions here about, and again, I think this is a bigger issue question: is Artie a 7 or is Artie an 8? Really, I mean, he's both, considering his experience at 8 now in the international game. It's probably more experience as an 8 in the international game than he is as a 7, I would imagine.
Yeah.
What does it even mean,
Yeah. Look, it depends on what you're trying to achieve in each sort of strike play or attacking play or phase play. I think the Lucy's is becoming more and more interchangeable. in terms of the back three, like wingers are fullbacks, fullbacks are wingers. I feel like you've seen Artie slip from 7 to 8, 8 to 7 during games. It doesn't matter what the jersey he wears. I don't think you can be surprised if that happens with all three of them switching up in and around. Like Lucko's got great control at the back of the scrum as well. So, don't be surprised to see him pop up at 8. I don't think a number matters as much as it once did.
Yeah. It's about that combination of
well, it's about what they're trying to achieve. It's what they're trying to achieve. So what they're trying to achieve will dictate where they sit, because they all have strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, totally. I think Bryn said yesterday,
except for Bryn Hall. Bryn Hall doesn't have any weaknesses. He's just all strength.
Just solid on all counts and getting better with age. Constantly getting better.
Immaculate. I mean, there's rumours out about him moving. I just can't believe it.
Yeah. Look, some lucky team's going to snap him up. There's no doubt about that. He's going to be a great addition to them. Right. What else do we got here? Honest opinion. This is an interesting question, because I think this could really rely on.
Hold on a minute. Do we not always give an honest opinion?
Well, yeah. We try. Honest opinion, do you think we will see Richie Mo'unga playing in South Africa? Now, I mean, that's just playing in South Africa. I mean, the entire tour, as opposed to the test match. He doesn't say whether he means the test matches.
There'll have to be injuries. That's the only pathway. So I don't have a crystal ball, but his pathway is, if there's significant injuries in a position and there isn't enough depth to cover it, like, he's on contract. And remembering, like, once he sets foot and plays NPC, like, he's back on deck.
Yeah. So, and that's not preseason, is it? That's regular season NPC.
Yeah, but I mean, there's history. There's the rules are there that will allow it if there's significant injuries in first 5.
Yeah, and they've got 3 in the squad as it stands. So
Yeah, but it's also like understanding, like, okay, what's next cab off the rank? What damage does it do to the confidence of an individual if they're not ready for the cordon of South Africa? Okay, Richie is. Okay, common sense decision says put him in for the betterment of all players. It's not about taking an opportunity away from a player. It's about setting you up for success.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily even just an injury at 10. I mean, if they're looking at the balance of the side, let's say that someone goes down across. Let's say we've got some issues with 15, and we're trying to figure out what's going on at 15, and someone goes down, and then someone has to move, and it all flicks around. Then suddenly, rework the whole system.
Ruben Love can play 15. Bodie can play 15. Damien obviously is at 15, so it's very interchangeable.
Yeah. They're all 10-15s, aren't they? So lots of questions coming in. Appreciate all your questions. It's got a decent session going on here, Jip.
Yeah, no, I've got to actually get back to work soon.
So you tell me how long, and we'll try to fit in what we've got.
Probably 2 minutes.
2 more minutes. Okay, let me have a look here. Let's see what we've got down here. Do you think Artie's coming to the Blues? Short, sharp, hope so.
I'd love to see him. I'd love to see him. Beaver was rattling on last night that he should go to the Highlanders and they'll win the comp. Bold claim from Big Bad Beaver.
That's. I mean,
it's a reasonable point though, because he goes, you got Lucas Casey, you've got Sean Withy, you've got Shannon Frizzell going back there, and you add Artie to the mix.
Josh Jacob.
Oh yeah, my boy Josh Jacob.
Yeah, there's a bit going on there. To me, that says that would put them into playoff reckoning. But you've got to remember that their win-loss record over the last few years has been atrocious. While they're close, their win-loss record is not good.
I've got recency bias, and what he did for Moana Pacifica, he would get them to the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, we saw a big change there. Tana talked about that with us during the week, didn't he? Okay, let's get one more question. Let's see what I got here. One more question for Drip. Statistically based on players picked for this match, ABs are incredibly superior in avoiding penalties. The French are far, far superior in the midfield defence and the meters gained. What do you make of that?
Well, the French one, they're one of the highest teams in terms of entering a defensive breakdown. So, and you don't always get it right. So you always put yourself in trouble there. So that's where a lot of that comes from. I think it goes back to the stats around what I was saying before. They've always had an Antonio or a Miafu that has just got such good punch and the ability to create that space through the middle that they attack and then go wide on. I think they've got one person that I know that can guarantee that every time.